Okay, I think we'll get started now. Everyone will let others trickle in as we go through this online information session. So I just want to say to everyone on the webinar, welcome. We're really excited to have you here and to provide more information about the Africa Urban Lab and in particular about the upcoming professional diploma in urban development that we are still having an open application for. We'll go into what the diploma program is all about, the process for applying, and then obviously we will make room for questions at the end of this online information session. So I will encourage everyone as they listen through, both myself, I'll start with and go through some various information, and then my colleague Heba will take over, and then we'll shine a spotlight on one of our recent graduates, one of our recent students, Edmund, will say a few things about his experience taking the program. And after all that is done, we'll allow a nice chunk of time for you listening in to add your questions. So there should be about the information session. Great. So just diving in for today, here's what the agenda is going to cover. The Africa Urban Lab is a research center. It's a think tank housed at a new lab, what the research center is all about, why the motivation for starting the research center, and then I'll dive into the specifics about the professional diploma in urban development that the Africa Urban Lab offers. And then I'll hand it over to my colleague Heba, as I said, to go through the nitty-gritty nuances of the application process itself. And then, as I said, it's not listed here, but at the end, we will leave some room for a question and answer. Okay, so starting it off, a little bit more information and context about the university in which the Africa Urban Lab is housed. It's called the African School of Economics Zanzibar. This is our founder and president of the ASE Zanzibar and the ASE system, the African School of Economics. This gentleman's name is Professor Leonard Wanchikon. He's a world-renowned development economist, currently teaching at Princeton University, an Ivy League university in the United States. He wishes he could have been here today for this information session. Sadly, he was busy at another event or conference he has today, but Leonard does send his good regards. Leonard is one of the top development economists on the planet. He then wanted to give back to African higher education. Leonard is from Benin himself, so he started a new university in his home country of Benin now over 10 years ago in 2014. It went really well. From there, Leonard scaled up from Benin to another country, Cote d'Ivoire. He opened a second ASE campus in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. And then just a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, began opening up two additional ASE campuses in Nigeria, one in Abuja and one in Lagos. And so ASE has now four campuses in West Africa. But Leonard has always had this Pan-African vision for the African School of Economics. And so we are really pleased as the first program being offered in the East African hub at ASE Zanzibar. We're really pleased with ASE's expansion beyond West Africa and the first expansion being here in Zanzibar. Just to go over, I think importantly, ASE's track record in its short, now 10 years in existence. Its track record, I think, is second to none on the continent for just a decade in operation. We have, I think this number is higher, over 60 PhD placements in top PhD programs across the world. So this includes R1 universities from Europe and North America, like Harvard, like Princeton, like New York University, Penn State, and others. So top PhD program placements. In fact, we were really encouraged, I think now a year and a half ago, to have two of ASE's first cohort graduates from back in, I believe it was 2015 or 2016, be accepted as and hired as tenure track professors at Dartmouth College in the United States and at NYU in the United States, so some Ivy League universities. And then beyond academia, even if you're not interested in research in academia, we do have a fantastic placement for private sector folks as well. Just over 75% of our grads are placed in top tier private sector firms and public policy think tanks like the World Bank, like the IMF, the FAO, and others. And so, yeah, as I mentioned, we now are expanding to Zanzibar. This will be ASC's East African hub. The first research center and programs are centered around this Africa Urban Lab, which I'll dive into in the next slide and beyond. But just to give and foreshadow additional expansion beyond the Africa Urban Lab and programs beyond the diploma program, the ASC Zanzibar does plan to open a School of Arts and Sciences, a School of Business, and a School of Public Administration, all within the next 5-ish years. These things are incrementally, will respond and add additional programs as student demand increases. And so that's just a foreshadowing of future expansion at ASC Zanzibar. And this is a nice, pretty picture of myself and Professor Wanchikan signing the initial documentation to open and establish ASC Zanzibar in late 2023. All right, with that, I want to move on to the Africa Urban Lab and give a little bit of information about what the lab is all about, our mission, our vision, our motivation to exist, and then, as I said, dive a little more into the diploma program. So just very bluntly, very shortly, our mission, our vision at the Africa Urban Lab is we want to first conduct frontier urban research on this challenge of rapid urbanization across Africa. And then second, we want to train the African city leaders, urban planners, city builders of tomorrow to harness rapid urbanization for human prosperity across the continent. We do this mission, we achieve this vision through 3 key activities that we operate at the lab. So one of them is education and training. Education covers things like the professional diploma that we'll get into next slide. And then training covers more short-term intensive trainings. And these can be both bespoke, where we are invited to go to, say, Nairobi or Addis by the mayor's office and give bespoke intensive short-term trainings, or we can bring municipal teams to Zanzibar and give them trainings at our facilities. Beyond education and training, the second key activity we engage in is research, right? So we are a research center at a university. We do conduct, as I said, frontier research on this challenge and opportunity of urbanization. And we have 4 different research priorities that we focus on. I don't need to get into that here, but if you are interested in this type of research, those 4 research priorities and the framing papers are on our website. And then importantly, the third thing we do is policy implementation. So I like to call it a think, do, tank. We don't just do the research and write papers on it. We also then take some of the more promising policy recommendations that stem from that research, and we embed ourselves with city governments to actually implement those policies in practice. And we do this across a few different domains. Again, I don't have to get into this too deeply on this webinar, but if you are interested in this realm, you can check out our website for our policy implementation work. So just looking at the Professional Diploma in Urban Development, which is our main program offering here at the AUL, we've purposely structured it such that it is modular and flexible, right? It is a professional diploma. So this means that a lot of you that are on this call will have full-time jobs or be already employed. In the first professional diploma, as Edmund can well attest, we had mayors, we had practicing mayors, we had a deputy mayor, we had a director of the Federal Ministry of Urban Development. And so we had several town planners and urban planners from across various cities across the continent. And so these are full-time employees, right? And so we needed to structure the diploma such that these full-time individuals could still take the time off in order to finish and complete the requirements of the diploma. And we think we've struck the right balance between rigor, enough content being delivered, as well as enough flexibility such that a mayor can take the time off and complete this. And so what does that look like? Um, we have split the in-person content of the diploma into two blocks. So you'll see these yellow squares here. The first block is in November 2025, and the second block is in April, early May 2026. And these blocks are in person in Zanzibar, and they're 2 weeks each. So the last 2 weeks of November, and then the last week of April, first week of May. Each block has two modules that is delivered in person in Zanzibar. So in November, there are two modules. One is urban economics, and one is urban planning. And then in the second block in April, May, it's again in person in Zanzibar. The third and fourth module are urban finance and urban economics, or sorry, urban finance and urban governance. Now, in between is a virtual period, right? So this is where the flexibility comes in. It allows, mayors, directors, deputy mayors, these folks to go back, do their day-to-day job, but at the same time keep students engaged throughout the 6-7 months between block 1 and block 2. So what is done in this virtual period? After the block 1 in November, the 2-week intensive in November, students will all go home to their respective homes. They'll do their day jobs. What's expected is students are paired in groups, and they are each assigned what is called a capstone project. So this is a real world urban development project in a real world organization. And those capstone projects are completed online, virtually, remotely in groups over this 6 to 7 months. So that's the main thing that will be done by the students in this 6-7 month period. It's expected about 5 to 10 hours of a week are demanded of this capstone project. So it is doable with a full-time job. And then also, in addition to the capstone project, what we will also deliver during this 6-7 month period is a few online technical workshops. So in the first cohort, we had 2 to 3 hour sessions, technical workshops on research methodologies. So that equips you with the knowledge around research that you need to do your capstone project effectively. We do Microsoft Excel, we do GIS. We did 2 sessions on AI for urban development because this is an emerging field that a lot of folks want to upskill on, and it can be extremely helpful for urban planners. And so these are the different online and virtual workshops. And then students come back for the second block in April, May for another 2 weeks in person. And then during this block and a little before, students will, in their groups, present their capstone project that they've been working on for the last 7 months. And so that's the structure of the diploma. Again, like I said, we focused on modularity, we focused on flexibility. So just a little bit more about the capstone project. As I said, it is a real world project, real world urban development project in a real world organization. I wanted to just give a flavor of the different organizations, the different hosts that we had for the capstone projects, because they do cover various types of career ambitions. So we have some research oriented organizations, we have some private sector organizations, we have some policy organizations as well. So for example, ourselves at the Africa Urban Lab, our partners at Makerere University's Urban Action Lab are more research-oriented bodies focused on urbanization that hosted capstone projects last time. On the policy side, we had folks like the International Growth Center and Green Cities and Infrastructure Program. And then on the more private sector, private firm side, we had, for example, OMT Architects, which is an urban design and urban planning firm that does work in Africa. And we had CPS, which is a private urban developer as well. So this just gives a flavoring of the different type of hosts and the different type of capstone projects available. They can be paired and matched to the ambitions and the desires and the preferences of the student. With that, I want to hand it over to my colleague Heba to talk a bit more about the day-to-day experience of life in the diploma, and then she'll hand it over to Edmund shortly thereafter. So Heba, go.
Yes, thanks, Curtis. Yeah, thank you guys for sticking so far with us. This comes the fun part, which I love to always take over from Curtis because I just get to talk about the students, which is are the best part of the whole thing. So this is a picture that was taking the first day that the student arrived in Zanzibar. You can see sunny skies and smiley faces. This is on the first day, and if we go into the second slide, we can get to know a little bit more about the students, where they come from. So we can see that our students come practically from all over the world, but specifically from East Africa, because this is where we're based out of, and this is where we have our great networks. We have students coming from South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Malawi and Zambia. And to our actual surprise, we also had students coming from abroad, people who were interested in learning about African urbanism um, in a short time, in a concise time. Uh, and they are working on the continent, flew all the way from their respective countries to come learn more about this urban development in Africa. And if we look a little bit about the students' background, their occupations, Curtis has hinted a little bit to that, but we do have students from various backgrounds. Edmund here, who is going to talk, he has various hats as a civil servant, also as a researcher. And we also had students who were mayors from Ethiopia, a number of nonprofit employees, and a number of civil servants from all over the continent. And of course, because this is an urban development program, we got a lot of urban planners and professional lecturers. If we go on to the next slide, um, and another, yes, this is fine. Um, on the day to day, how does the class look like practically? So as we said, this is an intense program, and I'm sure Edmund is going to explain this a bit more than me. But we do start at 9, and we're studying all the way till 5. During the 9 to 5, there are classes, there are site visits, there are presentations, there are simulations, especially with the urban economics class. And there is a lot of peer-to-peer learning. As we said, we have a fantastic, and we're hoping to have another fantastic cohort of students from all different backgrounds, from all over the continent, that can help share the experience. And that's why there is a lot of students who are learning from each other through those kind of like workshops. And we're also doing a lot of presentations. So you present your work to the students and you have a discussions about it. So this is kind of like the day-to-day 9 to 5 study, but also after the 9 to 5, you have another 5 to 9 where you are working on whatever task you are handed by the teachers. Or in a, sometimes you have some free time and you can spend it with your colleagues, but mostly you're working. And if we go on to the next slide, yes, this is probably my favorite picture and one of the few pictures in my life where I'm actually smiling very happily, because this is with the graduation back in May. I wasn't happy to see the students go, but I was happy that it was very successful. Here we had Dr. Josephine from the Presidential Delivery Bureau here at Zanzibar, who's one of the great supporters of the Africa Urban Lab. And if we go on to the next slide. Yes. So yeah, so this was the graduation, and now I know that some people kind of like are interested to learn more about how to join, right? So one of the things, as we said, we've been talking about like students coming from all over the continent, having different backgrounds. Some of them are researchers, some of them are still students. And because of that, because we want the diversity to be in, we do have a number of scholarships. So we have scholarships that are specific to specific regions. So we have scholarships that are specific to, of course, African scholars, which is the Marifa Scholarship. The Mashraki Scholarship is focused on the East African scholars. The Zanzibari scholarships, we are based in Zanzibar and we love having a number of Zanzibaris in our cohorts. We do have a specific scholarship for Zanzibari students. And we do have partial scholarship, which is the Maisha and the Mafunzo scholarships. Um, so we'll go into the application process a little bit later, but just so you can understand, there is only one application portal. So through that application, you apply for the program, and we determine whether or not you apply for the scholarship as well, right? Whether or not you are qualified to get a scholarship. So how does Africa Urban Lab decides who gets a scholarship and who doesn't? It's based on two things. First of all, merit. The second of all is need. So how good your application is. How did you show your interest in urban development? Is there a proven record of your interest? Is there a very clear idea of how this course is gonna benefit you in the future? This is the thing that we decide on. The second thing is, as I said, is the need, that there is a proven financial need that without this support, without the scholarship, you will not be able to attend. Then we decide on that. So as we mentioned, last year we got a huge number of applications. We did accept also a big number of students, but we were only able to support the 35 students that were able to come to our first cohort. As you've already know, if you've been looking at our socials at any point, the deadline is August 1st, and this is going to be a strict deadline. So please make sure you apply then. A little tip is the fact that a lot of students tend to kind of like wait till the last minute to apply. And then there is a huge surge of application, and there's a huge pressure on our servers and our networks. So a little tip for you guys, if you are planning to apply, if you haven't applied yet, please do apply a little bit earlier. Don't wait till August 1st and start applying then, because then there might be some technical problems. Great. Okay, if we go to the next slide. Okay. Then what we will do here, I will give it to Edmund to kind of like go a little bit more in detail in the next 2 to 3 minutes about his experience with the diploma. And this is another picture where I'm really happy in, which are always rare. And then will go back and then we'll go into a little bit more details on the application process itself. So this is going to be our last point. So Edmund, why don't you unmute yourself and just kind of like talk about the diploma from your point of view?
Hello, good evening. Oh, thank you for this opportunity. You know, everything giving my experiences an opportunity. My name is Adam Stephen. I'm an alumni from the previous cohort of Africa Urban Lab, Professional Diploma on Urban Development. And actually, I was able to attend all 2 blocks of November and April. And from my experience, I can say that I was able to attain a lot of things. Starting from my professional, I am a master degree student at Harvard University. And also, I am the GIS and land surveyor expert. And actually, these things have been contributing a lot, especially on my studies and on everything that I have been doing. During the 2 blocks, the first block, I was able to attain the knowledge, especially on strategic urban planning and also on urban governance. And actually, I was able to understand how do we apply urban governance on different urban problems or city problems, and on how we do extension and expansion of the city, and what do we consider when we want to extend or expand the city. The way of discussion, the way of presentations, and the way of teaching, it was really interesting that even if you couldn't understand from classes, we had a lot of discussions, group discussions with fellow students from different professionals. And also we had the discussions, especially where when we went back to our places, and also when we were in buses, in every places where we meet, we were discussing about the issue. And actually, on strategic planning, we were able to do the practical. For those who don't know to use maybe Google Earth Engine or to do GIS, they were able also to understand how to manipulate, how to do urban expansion, how to plan for the future using this Google Earth Engine and GIS. So in short, I can say a few things about the course that I started from the first block to the second block. Starting with this strategic urban planning, it was really helpful, especially on understanding the issue of expansion, starting from how the population itself expand, or how the population itself grow, and how do we plan from the population growth. And this has been contributing, especially on my thesis of my master degrees, where I was able to interpolate and extrapolate different kind of population census data, which was one of the inputs from my my research model. And when we go to urban policy, I didn't know what the policies mean, but from the problem that we identified, different kind of urban problems, I was able to understand what kind of implementation, what kind of decisions, what kind of strategic can I suggest from different decision makers to implement and to solve this different urban problems. And all of those is coming from the issues or urban impacts or urban problems that occurs in different cities due to population growth. And also from the after the first block, we were able to attend the capstone, and from the capstone is where I practiced from the paper writing, was able to understand different kind of land management, kind of land issues, which is implemented in different East African areas, different East Africa countries, and how do we implement kind of policies based on urban conflicts, based on urban problems that occurs in different cities, most of the big cities, which are iron growing in East Africa. And from there, from the second block, I was able to understand most of the things that I didn't understand previously, like the issue of urban finance and urban economy. Actually, I was knowing really much about urban planning and how do we do urban planning. But at the end, I thought that urban planning is some sort of having the dream. What do you want? But urban economy is how to balance the resources available and how to allocate different kind of resources on different urban problems. And actually, when we go to urban finance, I was able to understand different kind of budgeting that is available and kind of expenditures that are available, and how do the cities can access different kind of funds from actually like C40 and some other places based on the urban problems they have. And from all of this, actually, I've been the person supporting me on different spaces. As now I work as a civil servant from Ministry of Agriculture. This thing is very vulnerable and very important, especially on implementing the issue of food security, and also on the issue of allocating different kind of food based on the increase of population. So the teaching and the sessions itself, actually, I can say that it was very intense. And when I say intense, it need a lot of time. It need you to implement a lot of your time so that you can understand. We had a lot of discussion that made even someone who can't listen from class or someone who can't understand from classes were able to understand things, and maybe through communication, we were able also to get some few notes. For my case, like the issue of urban economy, it was a new thing, but based on the discussion that I did with my fellow, for now, at this moment, I'm able to actually explain to others and help others on their research on the issue of demand and supply, failure of market, and whatever. But what this causes helped me from my geospatial skills. As we know that we are the geospatial expertise, and as geospatial expertise from GIS and remote sensing and land surveyors, we normally uses this spatial skills to identify different kind of spatial problems. And these spatial problems, we all think that only urban planning is the one thing that can solve all the problems. But we need also to understand what the capacity of the city, what the capacity of what's the capacity of what we have on solving different kind of problems. So I think this kind of urban economy and urban planning, when they come together, they solve different kind of urban problems, and also we can be able to understand the integration of both on how we can end up the issues or the problems in our universities. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Edmund. Yeah, that was very detailed. Thank you so much. And practically, so now Curtis kind of like gave us an overview of the Africa School of Economics and then the Africa Urban Lab, the program, how it's structured. I tried with Edmund to kind of like give you an overview of the every day-to-day life of the students. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over the application because that's why most of the people are here, right? So this is what I expect that most people are saying in their minds right now, that yes, that makes sense, that works for me. Yes, I want to apply. So one thing that you need to do is go to aul.city/admissions, and there you can find our application process. If we go into the next slide, you can see that the first thing that we will ask you to fill is personal information. This is, I'm not going to go too much into details into it, but this is like practically your name, your emails, where you're currently living, and your nationality, right? So we know where you're from. The second thing that you are asked to cover is your experience. So here again, and we're gonna go over all the questions that you guys have. So please start writing even more questions, and we're gonna go over them towards the end. Yeah, this is a graduate program, so we expect people to at least have a bachelor's degree or graduating this year from their bachelor's degree. So here is where you talk a little bit about your work experience or your volunteering experience that you did during your undergrad. The third part is the referrer part, and this is where I'm gonna talk a little bit. So a referrer is practically you add a name of someone who you've worked with or worked under, or a professor that you studied under, who can attest for your um, skills, right? So you're here, you're saying that you're a great student, that you're really gonna benefit from this. We need someone to kind of like say, hey, it's okay. Yes, this student is great. So you need to choose the right recommender. Again, it should be someone that's a bit more senior than you, whether you worked with or was a teacher of you at a certain point. You need to ask him early and share the material. So he needs to know what he's writing the recommendation letter for. And then you need to make sure that he submitted on time. So once you submit your application with the name of the referrer, an email goes out to the referrer right away, giving him 2 weeks to submit his recommendation letter. So you need to follow up with your recommender and make sure that he submits it. If those 2 weeks pass and we don't get a recommendation letter from him, we'll contact the student once to follow up with the teacher. But eventually, if we don't receive a recommendation letter from the recommender, we cannot process your application, because that means your application is not fully. So you need to make sure that the recommender submits his recommendation letter. The last part is documents that we will need from you. So we have a number of documents, and I'm going to go into details into some of them because they're a bit sometimes weird for some people. First of the CV, second of the university transcript. So it's just your bachelor's degree. We need the transcript of that. If you have a master's degree, you can see this is an optional, so you don't have to have a master's degree, but you do have to have a bachelor's degree or a proof that you're graduating this year. So the master's degree as well is here. And then the personal statement. A personal statement will go over what should intake the personal statement and the writing or work sample. So if we start with the CV, we start with you have to have your CV concise. You have to have your email, your phone number, your graduating institute, and the other things. And all of those information are put in detail on our website. So you can go into the website and to the blog and find all the information there. But those are the main things that should go into your CV. And if we talk about your personal statement, in the next slide, I'm gonna just focus on three main things. So for your personal statement, you should have your kind of like relevant work or educational experience. So let's say you have studied economics, but you're interested in urbanism because you've done that kind of like volunteering work on an urban issue or whatnot. You should mention that in your personal statement. You should mention why you want to attend the diploma and how the diploma is going to benefit your career and benefit your future aspirations. And then talk about how the diploma is, or the outcomes of the diploma is going to really match with your goals after the diploma. So you talk about your background, you talk about why you want to attend the diploma, and what are you going to do with the professional diploma. So this is your personal statement. It shouldn't be any longer than 1,000 words, preferably in one page, so the teachers who are going over your personal statement can read it all and fully digest it. The last thing is your writing or work sample. And here, again, we go over this in details on the website. So if you want to check it out, you can find it there. But it should be an original, either solo authored or co-authored work. So practically it can be a group project that you worked with someone on, but it should clearly state your name that you were part of the project. It should show your writing abilities, your work abilities, your master planning abilities, whatever your content is, it should show it clearly. And it should also, it can be something like a policy memo, an academic paper, a professional report, or an assessment that you did, like a course assessment or a course paper that you did in grade 4 or something. Grade 4 as in like your graduating grade, and take it from there. And we just want to focus here that this is not, there is no need to have something new that you write for us. This should be something that you've already have. So we're quite flexible on that end. It can be anywhere from a work sample to a policy brief or a research that you've done in your undergrad or your graduate school. Yeah, and after that, you're done. Yes, so after that, you're practically done. Those are, you've submitted your application. We just wanted to kind of like show what we've been talking about, and what we've hinted towards many times. Those are a number of our partners. We have a huge partners in African universities, and I think some of you or most of you are from those universities, as well as international partners that help us to deliver this diploma and help us to do all of our other work. And after that, I just wanted to open now the Q&A, and we have some questions, but I'll first let me open the floor for hands. If anyone want to unmute themselves and speak, please just raise your hand and I will unmute you, and then we'll go over all the questions that are in the chat. Just make sure that you have access to speak. Okay. Jennifer Stefan, please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be brought online to come speak. So I also would like to appreciate the fact that you put in efforts into this to help people apply better. It's quite thoughtful. I'm reaching out from Nigeria, and I just wanted to ask, because I heard you mention earlier that one of the scholarships available is usually actually for like East African. Are there like specific scholarships for West Africans? That's one of my questions. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. So we don't have a specific scholarship for West Africans, but we do have the Marifa scholarships, which are focused on all the African scholars from everywhere. So we do have specific scholarships for East Africans and Zanzibaris because this is where we're situated. But the African scholars from everywhere, from the West, from the South, and from the North, will fall under the African Scholar Marifa scholarship, which is actually a full scholarship. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, I'm gonna allow Irene to speak. So Irene, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hello, Eva. Thank you
Hello,
so much
Irene.
for this session.
Go ahead.
Please, regarding the writing samples, um, are we supposed to add links, or you're supposed to just show just one example? I mean, if it's already a published article or something, are we supposed to post the whole article, or you can just share some links?
Yes.
And also,
So
please, last year I applied to the scholarship. I applied for this program. I didn't make it, but I wanted to know if there were any specific reasons. I'm also from West Africa, by the way, Ghana, by the way. So I want to know if there are any criteria besides the ones that you've already listed, because I'm not a technical person. I'm not in a technical role like an architect or something like that, but I'm a policy. I do policy advocacy on sustainability and brand development. So I want to know how we can pitch our articles in the right direction to get accepted.
yeah. Thank you so much, Irene, and I'm excited about the slew of West Africans trying to apply. We're looking to expand this year, and we have already secured a bigger number of scholarships than last year. And I'll answer the last question first, and then I'll go back to the writing sample. Irene, last year we did get a huge number of applications, and we did have a limited number of scholarships and acceptance places to have. So think of this program as something that's extremely highly competitive, and you are competing with practically the whole continent. So sometimes we have to make the hard decisions of not accepting people based again on the two things that we've mentioned, which is the merit and the need. So this is the answer to the first question. The second question is the writing or work sample. You do have to add a file, so you need to upload one of the files that you have, and it can be, as we said, anything from a research paper to a policy brief. If you are a policymaker, as you've mentioned, we've also had a number of policymaker and economists join our last cohort, and they uploaded some of their work samples, for instance, some of the policy briefs that they worked on. That would actually be perfect for the diploma. Curtis, please, if you have anything to add, just unmute yourself as well. Now I'm gonna give the chance to Matthew to speak. So Matthew, please go ahead. Matthew Agba.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to really appreciate you for these quite detailed explanation of the processes. Well, last year I had applied for the um, program, and I got the admission, but I was also looking for a fully funded a scholarship for it. Oh, I'm Matthew Elba from calling from Nigeria. So I end up, I think I got, was it a partial scholarship thereabout? So my question is, what does it take to attend or to be able to achieve a fully funded scholarship in this program? Because last year I was actually putting all I needed to make sure I can be able to achieve a fully funded scholarship. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Matthew. Again, another West African trying to join, and we're super excited for that. And Matthew, what we have mentioned and what we're going to mention again is that scholarships and admissions are based on two things. Again, merit and need. And if you have got a partial scholarship, that means that the need was there, but that also would mean that you need to maybe this year go over the application manual that's on our website and go over the thing like how you applied last year and see if there's anything that's missing, if there's anything that wasn't covered, if the CV is completely accurate and encompasses all of your experiences. So I would recommend you go over the application manual on our website, and then we take it from there, and just try to improve your application.
And just to reiterate what Heba just said, I want to highlight it again for everyone. yes, this information session I'm sure was very helpful. There is also on our website, if you go to the blog, there's an application manual that you guys can read through that gives some further tips and advice. So yes, this is useful and we can share this webinar. But there's also another resource on our website called the application manual that I encourage everyone to read through as they submit their applications.
All right. Abraham, I'm going to allow you to talk, and then we're going to take two more people, and then we're going to close this.
Thank you, Heba, for this opportunity. My name is Abraham from Kenya. I just had a question that, let's say you just said you have a period of 2 weeks for one to obtain a recommendation or have information that one has obtained, that you have obtained the recommendation letter from the referee. So, and you just say that the deadline will be on 1st. Is the 2 weeks included on the 2 weeks remaining this month?
Yeah, good question. So the 2 weeks start exactly. So number one, you do have to submit your application before the 1st, because after that, the application portal will be closed. So if you submitted your application on the 22nd, 29th, let's say, you still get 2 weeks for your referee to submit, but not a day after that. So you have to submit your application before August 1st, but even if you submit it on the 29th, your referee will have 2 weeks to submit their application. So those are not correlated. That makes sense.
So yeah, just to clarify, Abraham, and for everyone, you can submit your application, and that will prompt us to, well, it'll prompt an automated email to the person you put for your referee to submit their referral letter, and that we allow them, the referee, 2 weeks to submit their referral letter. So whenever you send your application in before August 1st, your referee will then be prompted to submit, and they have 2 weeks to submit their referral letter. Hope that makes sense.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay. I'm just gonna take Fatuma. Please, if you have any question.
Thank you for the insightful session. I'm quite interested in joining the African Urban Lab, and I wanted to ask, if admitted, would it be possible to use the insights and learning from the program and the tools that African Urban Lab has to develop or like refine a PhD research proposal? Because I wanted to center it around African challenges, and I understand that that's explored in the lab. Yeah. That's my
Yes,
question.
definitely. We would love that. So of course, as Curtis has mentioned, the diploma has a number of focuses, and one of that is for the academics or the people who are pursuing an academic career and want to improve their knowledge in academia. So yes, of course, definitely that would one of our goals and would work perfectly. Curtis, anything to add?
Yeah, I'll just say, Fatuma, so we had as we had 38 enrolled, 30 graduated students in our first professional diploma cohort of students. Several of those were either PhD students or somehow postdocs in researcher positions. And so it sounds like you'd be in that camp. And so they used the opportunity at the Africa Urban Lab not only to be exposed to some ideas around the challenges of African urbanization that we've talked about for the last 45 minutes, but also to refine their current research. So it sounds like they were in a similar position as you. So the short answer is yes, this can be used as that opportunity, with the caveat that it is a professional diploma, right? So a lot of the research and the theory and the evidence that is introduced and delivered in the course, it then is applied in practice and in case studies, right? So there is a focus on the more pragmatic and actually applying the research in the real world that sometimes isn't present as much in academia in a pure research program. So I'll just put that caveat, but also say that there's several PhD students and PhD graduates that took the first cohort last year.
All right. Okay. Let me try to unmute Kifala. Go ahead, Kifala. Kilafla. Okay. I butchered your
Can you
name.
hear me?
Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Good. Oh, it's okay. It's Gafara. Hello, guys. Thanks, Heba, and thanks to Curtis and the entire team over at AUL for this really incredible program. I'm Kafara Levy with the Pan-African Institute of Municipal Development in Washington, D.C. And we are an organization that has a not quite but a similar focus as AUL, and we do have some connection with AUL as well. But we're also very much heavily focused in West Africa for very good reasons. And one of the main questions we've been getting from our partners in West Africa, municipal organizations, mayor's offices, and those types of entities, as you know, West Africa has a lot of French-speaking countries, and the I think there's been a certain level of hesitation in terms of who wants to apply for this, and this kind of came out in the last, I would say, in the last week when we've been making an effort to reach out to our partners and asking them if they've applied, and if not, why not? And there's been a lot of concern that, well, it's only English speakers, it's in East Africa, and I don't know. I'm from Senegal. I don't know if I'm going to be admitted for this, and if I make it, then I'm a practitioner. I work at the Dakar City Council. I'm not a scholar, but I think this is useful for me. But then, if it's all going to be in English, then how am I going to be able to benefit from this? So I know this might be related to something that you're planning for long term, but if you could just address how you're looking to tackle things like language barrier, especially as the professional diploma in urban development and AUL and everything that you offer expand beyond your current sphere in East Africa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you, Kalpella, for the comments and yes, PIMD in DC. It's a great institution and a partner of the lab. This is kind of, it's just the reality. We offer the program in English. That's kind of it. And we recognize, and we've had this question before about offering it in particular in French or having some version of it available in French. We're not there yet. This is our second cohort for the diploma. So yeah, this is a tough one, and we will be looking like just to filter against some folks for whom English isn't their first language, and they submit an application. We'll be looking for certain language proficiency to ensure that people who are admitted will get the full benefit and value of the course. And so to do that, they need to speak to a certain level of English proficiency. And sort of that's a reality. And one of the factors that we look at as we go through admissions. Heba, anything to add?
No, and as we mentioned, I mean, most of the East African countries, English is not their first language. English is not my first language, and English is not the first language of many people. But there should be, as Curtis mentioned, a certain level of proficiency to be able to join the program. But yeah, we don't speak like a very complicated Old English at the lab at any point. But yeah, it should be a certain level of proficiency, which I think everyone who spoke so far sort of in a way has it. Yep. Okay, so I have 3 more hands that are uh, uh, have their hands up. So I'm just gonna allow them, and then after that, I'm just gonna close the application, close the chance to allow. So Newa, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. I'm butchering your name, but Chiminewa something. Okay, then we're gonna move into Augustus. Please unmute yourself and ask your question if you still want to ask.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'm called Asim Augustus from Uganda. I did my bachelor's degree in land management and valuation from Ardhi University, Tanzania. I would like to pursue that diploma. I don't know if I qualify, and if I qualify, how do you charge? Do you charge foreigners, or we are all considered as East African students? Thank you.
Yes, of course you're qualified to apply. Ardhi is one of our really good partners, so is Makerere. And we have a slew of students who came from both universities and from both institutions last time. And as we said, there are a number of scholarships. And as an East African, you qualify for both the East African scholarships, but also for the African scholarships, both the full and the partial. Okay, so the last person I'm gonna allow to talk, and then we can move into the questions in the chat is.
Well, and I'll just add for Augustus, because I think he asked about the tuition fee too. So we as Heba has mentioned throughout, there are various scholarships available. We're fortunate to have scholarship funding. So most of those admitted in the first cohort for the diploma either received a partial or a full scholarship. Some, very few, paid full tuition. Full tuition is $4,500. And that number shocks a lot of people because it's seemingly high. But I want to reiterate, most of the students that were admitted and came and graduated received either partial or full scholarships to cover some or all of the tuition plus the accommodation and flight costs. Heba, anything to add on that front?
No.
Okay.
Mashujga. You're allowed to speak if you have any questions, but you had your hands up. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Geoffrey from Kigali, and I'm a lecturer at university teaching regional land use planning and land economics. I picked interest in this discussion, especially from the exposure by Edmond. I'm working on starting on my postdoc on eco-urbanism. So I just wanted to see if I can take up this to widen my experiential learning. But from the discussion and from the exchanges, my questions are answered. So I initially wrote through the chat box, but I feel I'm okay now. If you could share the link, the arrow link through the chat box, it will be very helpful for us.
Yes, I shared the link, and thank you so much. And now we're going to go over some questions. So a lot of the questions in the chat are personal questions, which I will answer like for each person. And there are questions that I think will help us all. So I will try to answer those questions. Hi Heba, I was wondering why your earnings are asked in the applications. Because as I said, that the scholarships are determined on two things, right? Merit and we see the merits through your grades, we see the merits through your graduation, through the work that you did, and need, right? So the other thing is the need. So, I mean, if you, for instance, make a whole bunch of money, work for a private sector and make a lot of money, and then you wouldn't be able to qualify for the scholarship. So we practically look at the earnings to understand who needs a scholarship and who doesn't need a scholarship, if that makes sense. What does yeah, so there is another question about whether the institution offer job opportunities. Any job opportunities that we have, we do publicize online. So please make sure you subscribe to our newsletter and you are part of all of our social media to kind of like keep an eye out on everything. And if we have any job opportunities, we do publicize them online. Can the fee payment made in installments? Yes, for the people who don't get a scholarship and are interested in applying. Yes, you pay half in the first block and you pay half in the second block. If you need to change the referee, just if you have any specific questions that have to do with your application or whatnot, please send to info@aul.city. Can someone with an engineering and development studies background apply? Is it necessary to have an academic degree that is directly related to urban planning to be accepted to the program? Absolutely not. This is an urban development program. So we look at urban development as something that is quite interdisciplinary. You do need the planners to do the urban development, but you also need the economists, you also need the engineers, you also need the real estate brokers and the GIS researchers, and you need the academics and the civil servants. So no, you do not need a specific urban planning degree to attend. It's just one of the focuses of the diploma. Does the full scholarship cover meal costs? No, the scholarship does not cover meal costs. It covers accommodation, it covers flights, and it covers tuition. Is there an AUL master's or PhD? Currently not, but it is something that we are working towards, and hopefully in a couple of years we can develop a master's program. Yes. So a question that we get quite often is, what do we mean when we say graduating this year? So one of our students, well, actually a couple of our students, were graduating for the 2024 cohort. They were graduating in May 2024. So the people who are graduating before the diploma starts. So we're starting in May 2025. So you're graduating, for instance, we're starting in November 2025. If you're graduating in May 2025, and you have a proof of that, we understand that it takes a while for universities to issue your final graduation degree or your final transcript. So whatever proof you have that you're graduating this year, so you graduate before the diploma starts. That's the only thing. If you graduate 5 days before the diploma starts, you graduate 10 days before the diploma starts, you graduate a couple of months before the diploma starts, that is what you should. So if you are currently studying for your 4th year, which means you will graduate in May of 2026, so next year, then you apply for the cohort of next year, not this cohort. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, so another question, what are the real-world organizations that we cooperated with in the capstone? So Curtis, maybe if you go back to the capstone partners slide. Yes. So as you see, there is a slew of partners that we work with on the capstone, and this year we're also looking to expand a bit. So we have a number of research partners. So the Urban Action Lab at Makerere is a research institute at the university, based out of the University of Makerere. And we also have real-world private sector institution like OMT Architects and Gatsby Africa, which focus on the development of Africa. We have a number of development organizations like IGC and the Green Cities and Infrastructure Program, which is also another institute that is based out of West Africa. So there is a number of institutes that vary from private sector to public sector to development organization and research institute as well. So a number of that. All right, there are a couple of other questions that I will answer in the chat because they're quite specific. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, please send to info@aul.city. And with that, I will just continue answering some questions. Curtis, if you just give closing remarks, and then we can go ahead and close.
Yeah, so first off, thank you all for attending. We are really excited about this diploma program. The feedback we received from our students who just graduated in May, so now 2 months ago, was phenomenal. And we plan to repeat that success again next year and beyond. We have more lectures coming. We have more technical virtual workshops being added. We have obviously emerging technologies like AI as they're applied to urban planning and urban development becoming even more interesting, and we're constantly integrating most frontier and recent updates. And so I would encourage you, we're doing exciting things at the Africa Urban Lab. We are growing fast. We will be likely doubling enrollment this coming cohort, and we invite you all to be a part of this exciting lab and what we're up to. Again, thank you so much for coming. And just remember, August 1st, that's the date you all need to keep in mind. Submit before then, and all will be well.
And just to add, because I've seen the question now, and it's actually applicable to most people. In September, people will start getting their acceptance or rejection letters and their scholarship announcements. So by September, we'll do that process. So that will give us a month after the closing of the applications for the admission board to finalize their admission process. So in September, everyone will know. And we'll also announce it on our social media. So please make sure you follow so you understand when everything is going to go up. Okay, with that, we'll close our session. Please send us any specific questions that you have from now on, and we'll keep them going. Thank you so much for attending.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.